Ballers Talk. Ballers talking with ballers, and we highlight athletes across the world. Pervis, good to see you, dog.
Hey man, it's always good to talk to you, Alpha Jalloh Juice.
I appreciate it. Right now, we are in Svendborg.
I'm not sure how we say it correctly. Is it
Svendborg.
Svendborg? I
Oh,
thought it was
Svens. Oh, my bad. Svendborg,
Svendborg,
Denmark.
Denmark.
At the after school program, we've been going around the school, seeing the athletes here. Right now, at the school system is set up to where they can be in ninth grade and 10th grade, and they are part of an American football program ran by a guy named Desi. So American football across Scandinavia, we've been in Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, and we know that they have these type of programs only in Sweden and Finland. What's your thoughts on what's going on here? Football in general. Let's just talk, bro.
Yeah. Well, I was actually gonna ask you questions, but that's fine.
Go
I'll
ahead.
answer
Ask me.
questions.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my thing was I was gonna ask you about this. I know we haven't talked to the kids yet. We haven't really got a lot of details,
Mm-hmm.
but just your first impressions of an academy like this and how it's run and how the kids are able to do their daily stuff. What are your impressions on how it's going to impact some of these kids in their life going forward, as well as with their football careers?
That's a great question. I think for these guys, one, they already learning discipline. Outside of football, from what I've seen from the 2 days that I've been here, these guys have um, it rotates. They have cleaning duty, kitchen duties. Um, they don't have their phones while they're in school, so they get to practice. I can't be on my phone all day, or when I got a free time, or I got to do something else. I don't have the urge to grab my phone. You get the opportunity to study, but when it comes to football, the opportunity to get mixed with that discipline they already have learned. Football, being around an American coach, not knocking any other coaches, but being around an American coach who's been in America and understand the discipline what football can do for you, you can excel as an athlete because you can mix the culture that they're already teaching you. You mix the culture of what the coach is telling you in football and the discipline that you're going to give when it comes to that. From when you do something wrong, he's not going to be gentle with you. He's going to yell at you, most likely. Or if you do something that's at a level 3, which is really bad into their eyes, you're going to probably run suicides, gases. I saw the guys running gases yesterday for conditioning, but you're going to do it for punishment purposes as well. And lastly, I would just say, like, being in an academy, I think you have an advantage over other children. Like, one, they get to eat all day. They get 2 snacks. In a public school in America, you get breakfast and lunch. You got to buy your own snacks, but they got almost unlimited version.
Yeah.
They got a gym there. They have a gym class. Um, we all have PE, but like actually have a weight training class if you want to become more explosive. They have that period. Then they have a period of school where they're actually doing football work. They study in football, and you don't get the opportunity as just a normal football player growing up in Denmark, Sweden, or Finland if you're not in the academy because you don't have enough time. You got school all day. That's only school related, while they have football school. And if you're a normal kid just in Scandinavia or other places in Germany, um, after school, you want to do something with your friends. Then you got to practice kind of late, and you don't have time to do the extra film. Maybe you do, but they don't apply that time. While you forced to do it here, you're forced to learn, these different things. So I think you got slightly an advantage being in these schools in Scandinavia. And some schools in America, you don't really get the opportunity, or you do have it, but it's just dreading, bro.
Yeah.
Like, last thing I'll say, I said last thing already, but when I coached high school football at a pretty good school, man, it was draining for me as a coach because all the time we had to put into it. Um, Not all the time, but periodically, it's like, man, it's a lot of time. I thought I was gonna have some free time to do extra stuff. It's high school football. No, it's a lot of time. A lot of time to go into it. I loved it. I love getting back to the kids. I love seeing them work hard and win games. But this after school program is Svendborg or that they have in Scandinavia is pretty cool for these guys.
Yeah, I agree. I've only been here for a short period of time, but when I'm thinking of like Svendborg after school program, it's really unique coming from America, being an American, and then also having spent time living in Finland for almost 8 years now. I've been able to see how the school system there works, and they do a really good job, in my opinion, here of kind of blending what you would think about from a sports academy with actual school, as
Yeah.
well as more of the Scandinavian values of life. You have, like we said here, it's a these kids that we talking to, they're football players, but this isn't a sports school. Like it's not when you think of like sports academy, especially like in the states, even some of like the private schools that are sports specific. You think of a normal day, and it's like being in college playing sports, where you have a few classes, you have morning weights, a few classes, meetings, football, weights again, couple tutoring maybe or something like that, study hall, and that's your day. The sports is what it's really centered around.
Mhm.
Here, that's really not the purpose. The purpose that a lot of these kids are going through out here is that you're having a structured lifestyle, but it's also instilling values. You know, some of your classes are doing duties like cleaning. That's a life skill.
Hmm.
We know Americans and even kids in Europe who they don't know how to clean up after themselves because their parents do it all the time. Here, that's not something you're going to worry about with these kids. As they become adults, they're going to be self sufficient, but not overly to the point where they're so self sufficient that they lack the moral things of, you don't have your phone all day. You have to figure out something else to do with your free time other than scroll, which we've learned in the near recent history that social media has led to a large amount of depression in young people all around the world because you're seeing the best of other people's lives
Yeah.
and
That's
you're
their
not understanding
highlights.
it. Yeah, that's their highlights. But if you take that away and take it not back, but focus more on what you're doing with your time, you're less likely to need that dopamine hit.
Yeah, we
And
all
that
the same.
yeah, and so that's crazy that this school has implemented that to the point that while we're here in the morning, none of these kids are on their phones or sending messages and stuff. They're living life. My phone is ringing because I have kids from Finland sending me messages during the day, and I'm just like, shouldn't you be in class? Shouldn't you be doing something with your life? But again, it's one of those things like you said. Even when they practice in the afternoon, not at night. We know in Europe, a lot of times, American football practice is after dinner. It's late. Whenever you can get a field is like 7, 8 o'clock at night. Then you're practicing until 9 p.m. That's something that discourages parents from putting their kids in it because they don't want their kids out that late. They still have to go to school. Here, I showed up at like 4 o'clock and practice was at 5. I'm like, oh wow. So y'all are practicing before it gets dark, which we did. Once it got dark, we were like, hey, we've been out here too long. And that's another aspect that now the kids know after practice, they go eat dinner, then they get into their normal lives, and football didn't take away from it. It's a little bit more Americanized in that aspect. In the United States, most school age kids and even like little league and even college practice in the afternoon and then you go to dinner. In Europe, that's really never the case. So it's really interesting that they're being able to kind of blend both the best of both worlds, in my opinion, for this academy. And I'm super excited to be here because this is something I've never seen before, and I don't think there's a lot of places like this in Europe. That's all I got on
Yeah, that's cool. I think they need more programs like this. I wish that they had one in Finland. What are your thoughts on them bringing something like this to Finland? Is it possible? Would it help?
it. I I believe that it's tough because I try not to say this stuff, but since we're podcast talking, I can talk freely. Um, I don't think this is something that fits with the Finnish culture. I think the way the Finnish culture does sports is so rigid and streamlined, and I say that so it means good and bad. There's such a way that they do sports in Finland that doing something like this would be counterintuitive to what they want from their school systems as well as what they want from their sports programs. So I don't see why anyone would want to embark on something like this in Finland. That's about all I could say. I think in Finland there's plenty of people who want to play football, but they would want to do football. The people that want to do football in Finland more than normal want to do it so much that it would be similar to like AAU in the United States, which is a cultural clash in Finland. People in Finland enjoy their free time when they're not working or in school. So when you try to take even more of that free time away for sports, which they consider hobbies, the collective of the country is not gonna support it, and it's gonna be really hard to find a place or an area where they'll be able to get the resources to support, a hobby sport like that. They have other sports like hockey, basketball, even baseball, which they have academies and things, and it's done properly, but it's more like the AAU situation. They wake up, they go to weights, they go to class for a little bit, then they have practice, then they have a little bit of free time before they go play for their club team. They just add sports to what they already do. And they have sports academies like that in Finland, and there's certain football players who are allowed to do that. But the extra time is mostly just extra weightlifting.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not really extra football.
I know that they have like some academies like this for like horseback riding and things like that. So,
Yeah.
and that's a hobby. So they at least need to try to
But it's the
implement this for
culture.
football.
It's
What I mean? For sure.
it's the culture. American football culture is very difficult to implement in Finland because Finland culture is so stagnant, so it's so set in its ways, in both good and bad terms. But the overwhelming majority of the people in the country don't support it enough to where you can do it. Football is an expensive sport to support at the ground level, and in Finland, a lot of club teams are being supported, but club teams have a certain agenda. And as long as those club teams have that agenda, it's going to be really hard to put something separate that isn't club team based. And even if you become a academy club or something in Finland, you become a competition for the federation, a competition for local clubs, which means the community that you're actually trying to help will actually become your enemy. And that's just a uphill battle that I don't think anybody wants to face. And if you think that I want to face it, no, I do not. Don't ask me. I'm not doing it. It's not one of my goals either.
Well, it's going to take a gutsy person to do that, and you probably going to get some back heat
Yeah.
and things like that. But I think it's needed. I think it's necessary to have in Finland, and they can see how football has developed in other countries. But right now, I think at the moment, Finland got a little ego right now.
I was just about to say, why would Finland change the system when if you look at youth, look at men's. Finland is one of the most successful American football programs in Europe, in the world. Even if you think totality, their national team program, they put a lot of effort and a lot of resources into it. So for the Finnish culture, the Finnish federation, Finnish football community, there's not a need for the academy. Cool. In my opinion, countries like Denmark, Sweden, even Norway, they need this a little bit more because they're not learning enough football or playing at a high enough level to compete with, Finland, Germany, Austria, Italy even. And so this is something that'll help them. For a country like Finland, I think that for the sport to grow in Finland, it's a little bit more ingrained in the culture there, but what they lack is the growth of the sport. Not necessarily players getting opportunity or becoming good players, but the sport becoming mainstream in the country. Like when you come to places like Svendborg and I say I play American football, someone might know what I'm talking about. In Finland, a lot of different cities, that's not the case, and there hasn't been much change to that. But on the actual like football playing side and kids growing up and having opportunity in countries like Denmark and Sweden, teams practice 2 or 3 times a day. In Finland, teams practice 2 or 3 times, but they also have camps. There's a ton of national team camps, and a lot of kids play on multiple teams. So a lot of kids actually get a lot of reps by the time they're 18, 19, which leads to a whole nother thing because a lot of them get burnt out. But in other countries, it's hard to find youth games, youth teams to play. While in Finland, there's a U15, there's a 7-man, an 11-man. There's a U17, there's a 7-man, there's an 11-man. There's U19, which is actually now U20. There's a 7-man, there's an 11-man. So there's opportunities compared to somewhere here like Svendborg where they have to travel all the time to get games. They have to go very far because there's not a lot of teams. And I think that's one big hindrance for there being a sports club in Finland. I try not to over talk it.
Nah, so it's all good. I mean, they do have a system in play where they get the youth and things like that, where the U20 guys are overlapping into the seniors team. Mm-hmm. So that's an advantage for them, even the U17. But They're doing well in the national games right now. All I gotta say, and I want to end with saying, if you're gonna keep the ego mindset, I gotta see how they do in the championship game against Austria and see if they can get a goal.
Are you talking about the men's team?
Yeah, the
Oh,
men's. I mean,
well,
that's gonna set the tone for everything else.
call it like I see it. The U20 team lost to Austria, beat Denmark. They got third place. The men's team, who did they beat?
They just beat Sweden.
I think they
They
beat
just beat
Sweden.
Sweden. Now
They get Austria. Win or lose, you're still one or two in Europe. Or for the U20,
I mean, it's kind of
think about it, win or lose. Your men are one or two. Your U20 is number 3. Your U17, when we're recording this, they're actually going to be playing in the Nordic Championships next week, and most likely they're going to win it. And if you're Finland, and again, this isn't me saying this is my personal view. This is me saying from someone who lives in Finland and is a resident of Finland, understands that. I mean, as a culture, we have to kind of see what everyone's thinking. If I'm running an organization and we're winning at the national level, like we're not just winning games, we're top 3. We're placing in Europe every year in the top level, Group A level. We're not Group B, we're not Group C, we're Group A level. And at men's, U20, and U17, we're placing in top 3. There's not much need to say we need to change it up. We need to switch it around.
Hey, you want to be a powerhouse, you got to switch some things up.
How is top 3 is a powerhouse? That's what I'm saying.
That's not a powerhouse.
Again,
a powerhouse.
Explain to me how top 3 isn't a powerhouse.
No, a powerhouse is you got to at least be winning these championships, running the table. That's a powerhouse.
So if there's a different winner every year, nobody's a powerhouse. There's no such thing as a powerhouse then.
A powerhouse team winning for consecutive years.
The only national team that's like winning everything all the time is Austria has a long stay of winning since Germany has been out for a national team, but France has won a couple times. Sweden has also won.
I don't even remember if Sweden has won. But like simply break it, just go to like the Maple League. Helsinki Roosters been a powerhouse for a long time. You know, they won consecutive championships for a long time.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a powerhouse.
That's a great thing when you're talking about a league.
If you get to the finals, okay, you can be in a powerhouse.
We're talking about national teams. I think you don't understand the concept of national teams. Not the same. That's the point. National teams go on a 2-year basis, and your roster is constantly changing. It's very hard to keep the same roster for 2 years because of the age limits. Now, national teams, you also have to qualify. It's not like, everybody gets a chance every year.
All right, I'm speaking.
You have to qualify.
I get what you're saying. Speaking from like the men's perspective,
there's no such thing as a powerhouse
for the national team for men's, yeah. But for the kids, that's a way better argument because you have to. There's gonna be new kids. There's gonna be new kids all the time.
You still have to qualify.
Yeah, you got to qualify from the previous kids.
You're saying if I beat all these hurdles and I get to championships, maybe I don't win all of them, but I get to championships, I'm not a powerhouse. But if there's only one team that ever consistently can get to the championship, that means there is one powerhouse and no one else is. And that's a slight of view because then you don't have the curve.
It depends on which group you're talking about. You're talking about for the men's? Because most of these men, they're going to still be there. They got a system in play. It's an attitude. It's a culture.
I'm talking all groups.
Well, you can't relate to all groups.
National teams all go through the same exact thing. They go through the same process. You play qualifiers. You have to win your group to advance to the top group. So first of all, getting to the A group, not easy. The German team is in the C or B group right now because they weren't playing IFAB.
Yeah, for sure.
So Finland is in the A group and everything. Finland at every level.
I mean, you can't even really compare Germany because they got banned. So that's something different.
But you have to the reason I say Germany is that explains more recently that everyone has to start from the bottom. Because I think people assume that, you're in the A group. That just you start from the A group. No, everyone starts from the bottom.
We understand that, but once you're there, most likely you're gonna stay there. You're not getting out.
Here's my thing.
You're not getting out.
Getting there. If you go out, if someone goes up, someone goes down. That's how it goes. Here's my thing. If getting there is not an accomplishment, you're devaluing what you're doing, and that's my point. Is that you can say what you want to about you want to be a powerhouse, but that also doesn't have to be everybody's goal. Most national team goals is, can we compete for a championship? And if we're a top 3 team almost every year, that means every year we have an opportunity to win a championship. and that makes us a powerhouse. That makes us one of the best. You
Yeah,
know, if we're in the SEC,
let's end with that. That makes them one of the best, top three. We need to go
yeah,
to lunch.
yeah, that's fine.